about our bell ringer. So what do you notice about the bell ringer? What does it all have in it? What does it all have in it? What does it have, Logan? Percent, decimals, and fractions. How do I put these in order from least to greatest? Kira. No, I want to make them a fraction. Okay, so I'm not going to change these all to decimals. I'm going to change them all, I'm not going to change them to fractions. I'm going to change them all to decimals. Okay, so let's just do this quick because this will be simple. What's half in a decimal? 0.5, 0. What's this in a decimal? 0.495, because you move it 2 spaces. So, order from least to greatest. What's my smallest? What's my smallest? Okay, 0.49. What's my next? Yeah, 49.5%. I'm writing it how they want me to write it. What's my next one? 1/2. And then 5/5. Okay, that's you should do it on your homework a few days ago. Okay, so make sure you know how to do that. Let's talk about fractions because that's what we're talking about for the next like 4 days. What is a fraction? What's fraction? What's a fraction? Yeah, Maddie? Okay, sometimes it's less than a whole number. Sometimes. But if I have like 4 and 1/2, then it's like in the middle of 2 whole numbers. Okay. Fraction, it's like a division problem. We've talked about this before. Which one's the numerator? Yep. Top. What's the denominator, Haley? One on the bottom. Good. Numerators top, denominators are on the bottom. So adding fractions with like denominators. If you need something in your notebook, you better start getting it in your notebook. Okay? So here's the good thing about adding fractions with like denominators. We don't have to do any changing. We aren't going to have to find any common denominators today because everything is going to be similar. Okay, so no common denominators today. So pretty simple. So if I was going to add these two, what's the biggest mistake somebody would make adding this? Yeah. Adding the denominators. And really we don't have to do that. If you think about pies, I have 2 pieces out of 4. I have 1 piece out of 4. Now, if I'm going to add 2 pieces out of 4 together and 1 piece out of 4 together, how many pieces am I really going to have? 3 out of 4, right? It's like saying, okay, here's my pie. There's 2 spaces that are circled in. Here's my other side. And if I'm going to add those 2 together, I'm just going to take this piece that fits in down there. I have 3 out of 4. So I'm never adding the denominators, ever. Never adding denominators. If you have 3 out of 8, it's completely wrong. You totally changed it. That's what people get wrong all the time when we're adding like denominators. Now what about subtracting? What about subtracting? Yeah, Kira. Yeah, same thing. Subtracting the top. 10 minus 6, 4 out of 12. Today, you have got to reduce. If you can reduce, you need to reduce. So if I look at 4 and 12, what's something that goes in 4 and 12? How can I start reducing, McKenna? Okay, so let's reduce by 2, I think that's what she's doing. Divide by 2, divide by 2. I get 2 out of 6. Can I reduce again? Yep, I can reduce again by 2. So I end up with 1/3. You have to reduce the whole way. Start with 2 if you're not sure. Then say, okay, well, maybe if that doesn't work, maybe 5. Go to 5. Sometimes 5 works right off. If you have 0s and 5s, then that's the best one to start with is 5. Okay, mixed number. If you don't know what a mixed number is, okay, so there's a definition here for you. A mixed number, come on, just want to move you. A mixed number is a whole number and a fraction, and an improper fraction is a numerator bigger than the denominator. So an example, so here's a mixed number. This is an example, 4 3/5. That's an example of a mixed number. Now an improper fraction, here's an example, 20 over 3 is an example of an improper fraction. So if you need these, you better get them written down. If you're not sure, an improper fraction is a number that's a numerator that's bigger than the denominator, and a mixed number has a whole number with it. And the reason they call it a mixed number is because they're mixing a whole number and a fraction together. That's why it's called a mixed number. Mixed number, a whole number and a fraction. And an improper is a you're going to have to work with both of these things today. Both of these things today. So I'm going to do the one on top here. I have 4/5 plus 4/5. You want me to wait a second? Some of us are still writing. I can wait for a little bit here. So I'm going to add 4/5 plus 4/5, and this is what I get. I get 8/5. Now what's wrong with this? What type of fraction is this, McKenna? It's called an improper fraction. If I have an improper fraction for an answer, what do you think I should do? What should I do? Yeah. We're going to change it to a mixed number, okay? So what were some ways last year that you changed to a mixed number? Do you remember? What were some ways last year you changed to a mixed number? Yeah, Maddie. Okay, you can divide it. Sure, that's what I would do. I would take 8 divided by 5. Top goes in the house, goes in ones. I get 3 left over. When I have 3 left over, it turns into 3. And then this goes to the top also. So 1 and 3/5 would be my answer. 1 and 3/5. Does everybody remember how to change to an improper fraction and mixed number and vice versa? Does everybody remember how to do that? We're going to practice some more of that. Did you guys talk a lot about fractions last year? In 5th grade? Okay. 5th grade. Alright, let's do some practice here. I don't know. You do a few of these by yourself, okay? Let's do 2/6 plus 5/6. Let's do 3/4 plus 3/4. And let's do 1/5 plus 4/5. Do those 3 for me in your notebook. Some of you maybe, instead of dividing, you just know, okay, well, I know that 7/6, I know 6 goes in 1, I have 1 left over, it's going to be 1 and 1/6. I mean, a lot of times with these easy ones, it's simple to think that way, but sometimes when you get bigger numbers, it's harder to do that. Alright, so, first one. Who's got the first one for me? Who's got the first one? Somebody I haven't heard from yet really today. Who haven't I heard from? Desi? 1 and 1/6. This is what you probably came up with, and you changed it to this. Very good. What about the next one? Kira? 1 and 1/2. After this gets reduced, right? You always got to make sure you reduce. Nice job. Good work. Maddie? 1. It turns into be 5/5. We all know that means 1. Nice work. Any questions so far? Okay, it's going to get just a tad trickier because they're going to put in some negatives. Okay, so you have to remember your rules for adding negatives, your rules for subtracting negatives. Okay, because what we did everything in 7th grade math carries over to the next chapter. So guess what? We're going to see negatives from now on because we learned that already. So just because you're stopped and you took a test on it doesn't mean it's over. You're going to keep seeing it over and over again. All right, so what about adding and subtracting negative fractions? If I were you, I'd write this in your notebook. Okay, you're going to want to know. So if I'm adding negative 3/5 plus negative 1/5, how does this work? Negative 3/5 plus negative 1/5. Here's the thing about a negative fraction. Usually the negative is in the middle of both numbers. But the cool thing is that negative is like a floating negative. It can go to the top number or it can go to the bottom number. So when we're adding fractions, we want to keep the denominators as they are. Okay? So my denominator is still going to be 5. But those negatives, then, since I didn't use them on the bottom, they're going to float up to the top. So now it looks like this. Negative 3 plus negative 1. What's negative 3 plus negative 1? If I have all cats, negative 3 cats and 1 cat, how many cats do I have? Negative 4. So then it's going to be a 4 on the top, and the whole thing becomes negative. Negative 4/5. Okay. So that's only multiplication. Remember? Remember? That's only a multiplication. Not in adding and subtracting. All right, let's do another one. Okay, so let's talk about this one. Negative 3/7 plus 1/7. Negative 3/7 plus 1/7. You're going to try by yourself? Try by yourself. See what you can do. Negative 3/7 plus 1/7. Like I said, denominator always stays the same. Then that negative is going to go up to that 3. McKenna? Nope. It's going to be like this. It's negative 3 plus 1. Negative 3 plus 1. I have 3 cats. I have 1 dog. How many cats do I have left? 2. So it's a negative 2. Remember? They cancel out. Some of them cancel out. So it'd be negative 2/7. You have to be careful if you're adding and subtracting. If you need to write out cats and dogs, write them out. Kara was really good at that. If she needed help, she wrote out her cats and dogs. That's fine. Do that. Write it out if you need to write it out. Write it out if you need to write it out. Let's do another adding one. Okay, so let's do negative 5/8 plus 2/8. Negative 5/8 plus 2/8. You try it yourself. Negative 5/8 plus 2/8. Yep. Yep. But later. Yep, but later. Okay, so I'm keeping the 8. What's my top number going to be this time? I have negative 5 plus 2. Negative 5 plus 2. And negative 3/8 is what your answer should be. Negative 3/8. How are we doing? Okay? So far, so good? You gotta tell me. If you need some more examples, you gotta tell me. Okay, so let's go to subtracting now. What's the rule for subtracting negatives? What's the rule? If you have subtraction, you have a negative. What's the rule? What do we use? Yep, you're going to have to use that today. So put that on your notebook if you need to, because you're going to need to do that today. So I have negative 5/9 minus 2/9. 9 is always going to be my bottom number. Okay. So then I'm going to actually write this so you can see it below. Negative 5 minus 2. That's what that says now. Those are your two numerators that we need to subtract. So I have to use KCC because I have a negative and I have subtraction in the problem. So what do you think, what do I need to do? Tell me what I need to do for my problem. What do I need to do for my problem? Here. Okay, so what am I going to keep? Yep. What am I going to change? And then what am I going to change this to then? Yep. So negative 5 plus negative 2, negative 7. So negative 7 is going up there. Okay. You will have to do this on your homework today, so make sure you have some kind of example in your notebook. We'll do another one. Do another one. Okay. Let's do this one. Negative 5 eighths minus negative 3 eighths. Okay, so negative 5 eighths minus negative 3 eighths. Okay, so I know 8's going to be my bottom number. How many of you rewrote it like this then? Did anybody rewrite it like this? Help yourself out. We need to rewrite it. I hope you did. Unless some of you just did this. Keep, change, change. Because that's how it would be now. So you have negative 5 plus 3. Yep. Negative 2 eighths, but I can reduce that to negative 1/4, which should be your answer. Okay. There are some like this today on your homework. I think I'm going to do one more. One more. Okay, now you're going to do it by yourself. I'm not going to do anything. Okay, you do it by yourself. I'm not going to do a thing. Do a thing. You do it yourself. Okay, so what did you have to do? What did you do? You need another second yet? Okay, take another second. That's okay. Another second. Okay, can I get started? Okay. All right, so your denominator is going to be 7. What did you have to keep? What did you have to change? Tell me what you had to do. McKenna. Oh, keep the negative 6. Change this. Negative 8 over 7. Don't forget your negative. Right. Yep. That's what your answer should be. If you got to this, that's great. Just take it the next step now. Okay, just take it the next step. How'd you do, Haley? You got this? Good. You just got to finish it out now. Okay? Nice work. What questions do you have for me? What do you only use keep, change on? That's the only thing. Subtraction is the only thing. That's it. I have people that try to do it for addition, but I don't know why. Changing subtraction to addition, so I don't know why you try to change addition, right? So only subtraction is the only thing you do it on. Okay. Why don't you get your notebook out and we'll talk about your homework.